Hello and welcome on Modern Odyssey on BronxNet and beyond. I'm Dr. Despina Afentouli. On this episode, we commemorate perhaps one of the most tragic events of the 20th century, 100 years from the Asia Minor Catastrophe. Greeks from Asia Minor, Pontus and southern Thrace were uprooted from their birthplaces after thousands of years. Having faced a genocide, those who survived became refugees. But it was not only the Greeks. The Armenians and the Assyrians in the Ottoman Empire shared a similar experience. Why? Because of their religion.
My real name is Varsenik Magarian.
I call you Grandma.
My maiden name was Balayan.
You're going to tell me about Marsavan?
Yes. Now,
this is where you grew up?
Yes, that's where my birthplace is, Marsavan. So my father's name was Hampartum, that means resurrection, Hampartum Balayan. He was very successful merchant, and he had 5 branches in Yozgat, Çorum, Marsavan, of course, Samsun, Istanbul, or
what kind
Constantinople. Wool, he was a producer of wool, virgin wool, and my grandfather, Kevork Elbekyan, produced silk. He had a silkworm field. So they were both very successful.
So and there was lots of money, and there was a big mansion.
Mansion with swimming pool, acres and acres, property, vineyards, fruits, plenty of everything. He was really one of the top successful merchants in Marsavan.
Yeah.
So, but unfortunately, the 1915, it came to an end, let's put it that way. They always put me in boarding school, and they moved to Samsun, and he was...
Samsun is in Turkey?
Samsun in our seashore. That's about, with the horse wagon, it takes about 3 hours,
so
3 days.
How did you flee the Turks?
We escaped from Turkish because
money.
There was American missionary in Marsavan. We had Anatolia College, hospital, and theocratic school, and my father lent money all the time before the massacres. He never knew that that help will come handy to him, so and save at the end our family.
Yeah.
Because Dr. Martin was the doctor, specialist of the head doctor of the hospital, American hospital. So when they knew that there is some trouble coming over Armenians, massacre coming,
they helped your father.
And he said, Dr. Martin said, I will operate on you and save your family because the things are looking very bad for Armenians. And he said he also, they were Christians, of course, missionary. He said, temporary, use a Turkish name. Put your little girl, I was 10 years old, put in a Turkish costume, so they won't know that she's Armenian.
What was the Turkish name?
Turkish name, my name was Vasviye. And I don't want even to mention my Turkish names because it was only for a short time until British government sent soldiers, and right away we had our freedom for a short while, and this is how we escaped from Marsavan.
British government helped?
British came over.
What year was that?
That was 1915. But then we came to Samson. I was still in American school, boarding school. Then the Turks got him. He was rich man. They wanted money. They dipped him in the ocean, beat him very badly, and he really got sick. While I was going to play the piano recital, after my piano recital, I got the bad news that my father was dead. Then, of course, I went to Samsun, joined my mother, my family. Then my grandfather's family, both families, we came to Istanbul, Constantinople. Now it's called Istanbul, Turkey. Then I got engaged. I went in British high school and American high school, missionary high school.
And you met?
Then I met my future husband. My principal introduced to George Magarian. So this is how I met my fiancé.
Oh,
and then I got married.
How long did you know him before you got married?
A very short time.
You weren't allowed to go on dates?
No. I was not allowed to go on dates. My mother was very strict. I was not allowed to. But when we came to Greece, Salonika, he was sent to Smyrna to take the fire
movies
for the fire. And then we were separated at that time. When he came back with his family, my family, we lived in an apartment, brand new apartment. He came back, we got married April 15, 1923.
Right, then you moved.
Afterwards, we came to America, husband and wife, and my first baby was born 1924, January 16.
And then your next baby?
Next baby was born, my Margaret was born about 5 years later, and then my family grew up. I have 6 beautiful, wonderful, smart grandchildren, 2 great-grandchildren.
Beautiful, wonderful, smart.
Wonderful, smart, including Robert sitting next to me, and really I'm enjoying. This is Jehovah's blessing, God's blessing. I'm enjoying every moment of it.
And you have
they respect me. Yes, I have 2 great-grandchildren, beautiful, very smart too. So this is my story.
So hi Robert.
Oh, hi Despina.
Thank you for joining us today on our Modern Odyssey program.
My pleasure.
Can you please tell us more about the significance of this place?
We're standing in front of 600 West 189th Street in New York City. This apartment building is where my grandparents lived after their first apartment building in New York for a total of 40 years. No, 60 years, 60 years. And I used to come here as a kid.
Please tell us more about your relationship with your grandparents, the memories you have.
Sadly, I did not meet my grandfather, but my grandmother told me many stories, and my mother also.
Robert, can you please describe the day that you actually received the film? What were your thoughts about it? How you felt about it?
Yes, I remember my grandmother telling me many stories about her life back in Armenia, in eastern Turkey, but it was really, we call it Western Armenia. All Armenians were populating that area until the genocide occurred in 1915. The worst part of the genocide occurred in those times. And it was not just a genocide against Armenians, it continued against Greeks and Assyrians. Anyway, but I remember coming here for big Armenian dinners as a kid and seeing pictures my grandmother had and learning about my grandfather also. My grandmother, I was visiting my grandmother with my mother one day, and I had just moved from New York to California, Hollywood. And she thought, I guess, that it was time to pass on a very important movie that she had in her closet, wrapped in a towel. 35 millimeter film that my grandfather produced, showing the burning of Smyrna and the resulting humanitarian crisis, orphan crisis that happened with thousands and thousands of children and women remaining. And you know, all those people, all those orphans and all those mothers, they didn't just happen to come. They were forced into that situation. And, yeah. And my grandmother kept it in the closet for all those years without really telling anyone about it, not anyone about it. And why? She, and I guess my grandfather also, felt that it was such an important document of the crime of burning down the city of Smyrna and killing all those people, that they felt that the Turks, whatever they thought of that, would come and kill for that film. So it was hidden. And it was hidden for 60 years until 1983, or 82, 83, when I finally took hold of it and brought it back to Hollywood. But then 20 years later, in 2003 or 4, I was able to transfer it and save it just before it started to disintegrate. And it wouldn't have been usable after that. But we saved it on digital video. Additionally, it shows the aid organizations from America helping resolve this crisis with whatever they could do. Food, shelter, even camps. You could see all of that in the film. It's only a 10-minute film, but it has a lot of historic significance. And so that shows that America, even back then, was, interested in helping wherever they could, which also continues today. Relief for major problems in the world, but this was a big one. The genocide of Armenians and the other groups was a huge news in the New York Times. It's all over it, and yeah, I can go on. That the Turkish government decided it never happened. After the Ottoman Empire ended, the new Turkish government said it never happened, even though there were trials where people were found guilty.
So Robert, thank you so much for sharing your personal story with us. It's an honor to have you in our program.
Oh, thank you. Why don't you just come in and take a look at the inside of the building? Sure. This is the building where my mother grew up. Wow. And my grandmother and grandfather had the film hidden in their closet for decades.
I want to know more about it.
Μαρία Σιδηροπούλου, του Ιωάννη και της Χρυσάνθης. Την έλεγα τη μάνα μου Παντελοπούλου. Του πατέρα μου λεγόταν Σιδηροπούλος. Και από το Πουλάχ ήταν ο πατέρας μου, η μάνα μου την Κερασούντα. Τράβηξαν πάρα πολλά για να έρθουν στη Μακεδονία. Και εμείς τραβήξαμε πάρα πολλά από τους Βουλγάρους Τώρα δόξα τω Θεώ είμαστε στην Αθήνα και όλα καλά. Έχω 4 παιδεία που λένε πόντι, 4 κοτσίδια, κορίτσια, 10 εγγόνια και 22 δυσέγγωνα.
Θέλω να μου πεις τι το τραγούδι. Τι σημαίνει για σένα, που τραγουδάς τα προσφυγικά, που τραγουδάς τα ποντιακά, τι σημαίνει? Που θυμάσαι τους τόπους αυτούς που σου διηγούνταν οι γονείς σου?
Αυτά έμειναν σαν παραμύθια από τον πόντο που ήρθανε στην Αλιστρά της Ερών. Είχαν πεθάνει οι γονείς τους. Από εκεί τους διώξανε στους δρόμους, χαθήκανε στην Τουρκία εκεί. Οι γιαγιάδες και οι 2 και οι παππούδες πεθάνανε στην Κερασούντα. Ήρθαν από την Ρωσία περπατώντας με τα μποξαδάκια.
Θυμάσαι πότε συνέβη αυτό?
Το 1922 είχαν έρθει. Τότε είχαν έρθει το 22 με το διωγμό.
Είχανε κτήματα, πώς ήταν η ζωή τους?
Είχανε σπίτια καλά βέβαια, ζούσανε καλά στην Κερασούντα τότε, πριν να γίνει ας πούμε πόλεμος. Μετά με τον πόλεμο τους διώξανε. Όσοι ήθελανε να αλλάξουν τα ονόματά τους, θα καθόταν εκεί. Να άλλαζαν τα ονόματα, να τα κάνουν τουρκικά, θα τους κρατούσαν οι Τούρκοι. Δεν τα αλλάξανε και όσοι δεν τα αλλάζανε τους έδιωχναν. Έπρεπε να γίνουνε ό,τι τους έλεγανε να κάνουν εκείνο. Να υποκύψουν και να γίνουνε Τούρκοι, να αλλάξουν τα ονόματά τους. Όλοι χριστιανοί ήτανε, Δέσποινα, που σκοτώσαν τους Έλληνες. Χριστιανοί ήταν, βέβαια χριστιανοί ήμασταν οι γονείς μου. Έκαεν το κοτζαμπάσιν και πέμναν τα ντουβαρά γιαριαραμάν και πέμναν τα ντουβαρά γιαριαραμάν και νερούξαν σο γουρουτάρεμαν και νολούς τα παλικάρια γιαριαραμάν και νερούξαν σο γουρουτάρεμαν και νολούς τα παλικάρια γιαριαραμάν. Στην Αλιστρά της Ερών του δώσαν χωράφια και σπήρνανε καπνά, καλαμπόκια, σιτάρια και έγιναν αγρότες. Και ήταν αγρότες φυσικά. Η πεθερά μου ήταν από το Σεβδίκιο της Σμύρνης. Η πεθερά μου είχε παντρευτεί και σκότωσαν τον άντρα της οι Τούρκοι στο Σεβδίκιο της πεθεράς μου, τον άντρα, τον Μάμαλη, τον πρώτο τον άντρα της. Ο παππούς ο Μπιτζηλέος δεύτερος άντρας ήτανε. Μετά ο παππούς ο Μπιτζηλέος ήταν απ' την Άξο και είχαν καπνά στη Σμύρνη, παρόλα πόλεμος και αυτά ήταν εκεί ακόμα. Είχε η πεθερά μου 2 αγόρια από τον πρώτο τον άντρα της και από τον δεύτερο, από τον Μπιτζηλέο, είχε το θείο το Μανώλη, τον κουνιάδο μου. Την ευτυχία έκανε στη Θεσσαλονίκη μόλις ήρθαν το 22 και μετά ήρθανε, τους φέρανε, τους είπαν πού θέλετε να σας πάμε, εκεί που έχει καπνά, και ήρθανε, τους φέραν στην Αλιστράτη και κάνανε καπνά. Στην Αλιστράτη έκανε την ασπασία.
Ο παππούς ο Αριστοτέλης, πού γεννήθηκε?
Ο παππούς Αριστοτέλης στην Αλιστράτη Σερών. Και εγώ στην Αλιστράτη Σερών γεννήθηκαμε. Ναι. Και η θεία Σιπόπη και ο θείος Αλέκος.
Και πώς γνωριστήκατε?
Κοντά ήμασταν εκεί, η γειτονιά. Ερχότανε στη θεία στη Μαρή και του Μανώλη, καθόταν δίπλα μας, νίκιασανε του ξάδερφου της στο σπίτι και ερχόταν εκεί, πήγαινα κι εγώ, καθόμασταν εκεί, ήμασταν μικροί. Εγώ ήμουνα το 30 γεννηθής, ο παππούς το 29 γεννηθής, εκεί γνωριστήκαμε, ύστερα αγαπηθήκαμε. Και κάναμε έναν ωραίο γάμο και έκαναμε και 4 παιδιά, 4 κορίτσια. Μετά ήρθαμε εδώ στην Αθήνα, εγώ με τον παππού, τον άντρα μου, τον Αρίστο. Από το 59 ήμασταν στο Εγάλιο ως το 65. Από το 65 φύγαμε από το Εγάλιο, ήρθαμε στον Άγιο Στέφανο. Έκαναμε δικό μας μαγαζί.
Τι μαγαζί?
Ταβέρνα, εστιατόριο. Και ονομάστηκε Κέντρο η Μακεδονία, Μπιτζηλαίου Μαρία. Εκεί περάσαμε καλά, είχαμε δουλειά, πάρα πολύ ωραία και γάμους κάναμε και βαφτίσια κάναμε, απ' όλα κάναμε. Και κόσμο πολύ είχαμε και δουλειά είχαμε. Ζούσαμε καλά.
I'm Father De Francis, the priest of the Assyrian Church of the East, Marmari Church in Yonkers, New York.
And where do you come from?
I'm from Iraq. I came here before 9 years ago. Since 2013, I'm serving here and until now.
What do you know about the Assyrian genocide during the Ottoman Empire?
The Assyrian genocide, it was going what they call SAFO, with the Armenian genocide and the Greek genocide. And that was happened in 1914 after the Ottoman Empire, they lose the war with the other countries. They were Christian. They felt the other Christian in their country, they helped their enemy against them. That's why they destroyed them and they killed them. And many people, they were killed at that time, Armenian people and Greece and Syrian people, around 750,000 Assyrian, they were killed in Hakkari, Diyarbakir, Isr, and in Antalya, southwest of Turkey. It was the center of Assyrian nation, or Assyrian people.
And why did this happen?
The Ottoman Empire, when they lose the war, they want to take their rights from the Christian, and the Christian in their country, they were weak. That's why they killed them and they destroyed everyone. If they don't go to convert it, they will be killed.
Did they feel pressure to convert to become Muslim?
Yes, they force many people to convert to be a Muslim, and especially in north of Turkey, the many cities now, I know it like Sivas, Yozgat, Caesarea, most of them they were Armenian, and the Ottoman Empire, they forced them to convert it or they killed them. Many people they converted because of fear of death.
Were they also forced to change the names?
Yes, many of them they changed their names, but they're like a tradition with continuity. Now many people, when they introduce themselves, because I was living in Turkey, in Yozgat exactly, I wasn't from 2010 to 2012. Yozgat, it was the city of Armenian people, and they have the big church there. Now they call the Büyük Cami. It's a big mosque, big church. You can see on the outside. They added the menorah, the tower. They changed it to the mosque. And many of them, they are converts. They said our fathers or our grandfathers, it was Armenian, and he became Muslim because of what happened in 1914.
So they became crypto-Christian?
Yes.
They remained Christians, but they had to show that they became Muslim.
The fathers and mothers became Muslim, but their children, they have to grow like a Muslim. They cannot be a Christian because they cannot practice their religions. They cannot practice nothing, and if you don't use something, you can lose it. And until now, in these cities, they are still the Muslim. But their nationality, they said we are Armenian, or we were Christian 100 years ago. But now they are Muslim.
The Assyrians in Turkey, by that time, were they allowed to speak the Assyrian language?
At that time, no, they forced you to don't speak any languages except Ottoman, Turkish language. Even you have no right to write in any languages, only Turkish language. And they destroy many of books, the hand scripts and church, our treasures in its art. They destroy it and they burn it, or they put it in wells. Many sad stories we have. They killed our bishops, our priests, our people because they were Christian. And at that time, Ottoman Empire, they didn't care about nationality. They care only about religious.
My family was Christianos, but I learned this story 40 years old, when I was 40 years old, 10 years before. Then I went to Patriarch, and I told them about my family, and they sent me Alexandropoli for baptism. Now I am more happy, after 40 years, I'm more happy to be Christian.
Do you know what happened and your family had to become crypto-Christianos?
My grandfather was a Christian. His name is Junet, in Syria, Aleppo. Christian village, and then they moved to Turkish side, and they hidden their real religion. Junet, this is typical Christian name, Arabic name, Christian Arabic name. And he changed Junaid, Turkish name, Junet, then Junaid. Yes.
Do you know anything about your grandparents? What happened to them?
No, nobody, when I was child, nobody told me something. I learned from my father everything.
Were they afraid to talk about these things?
I think, maybe afraid.
And do you know when they went to Turkey from Syria? What years?
1910. Yes.
So it was by the end of the fall of the Ottoman Empire?
Yes.
Some years.
During the war. In 1920s around, they moved to Turkey. Yes.
Was it the time of the Asia Minor Catastrophe?
Yes. It was bad times for Turkey.
Your background is from where?
Antioquia. My father's side, life like a Christian life. My mother's side Turkish, my father's side I believe that Orthodox. I'm feeling like a Greek, but my family is Syrian Orthodox. My family was happy because we went together to church and they were crying, they were smiling. Was a good experience for them too, 40 years later.
So you all converted to Christian Orthodox?
Yes.
And you live in Istanbul?
Yeah.
Constantinople?
Yeah. Also, Tora, Matematika, Milaonika, and Odyssey. I'm very happy I show here, I meet here with great friends. I'm feeling like a great. And we have together our exhibition. This is great.
So is this like a Greek-Turkish friendship exhibition?
Yes, very, very good. I like.
You feel like that?
Yes.
After the persecution, those who survived, where did they go?
Yes, after the persecution, many of the people there survived. Some of them, they went to the south of Turkey, which is Iraq, Iran, Syria, Jordan, Lebanon, in this area. And some of them, they went to Russia. And after after the Russian revolutions, it was at Lenin time, they were under persecution another time. They flew from Russia and they went to Iran. Many of them, they came to Iran. But now we have Assyrian people living in Russia, Ukraine, Azerbaijan, Georgia. Also, majority of our people, they were living in north of Iraq, and Urmi, and what they call it in Syria, they call it Khabur River. We had around 35 villages there.
And how was it there? Did they allow them to exercise their religious beliefs?
That's what's happened after 1914. Somehow they were insane, but when they were live in Muslim country, they wasn't practicing their religious in a freedom way, but sometimes they were under persecuted. Most times we in our, like an Assyrian, we got persecuted from 1933 after 1918 until now. Every 20 or 30 years, they were like killed people from us. They like 1933, we had a Somali genocide. In 1967, we have another genocide. It was in north of Iraq. And 1970s, we were under persecuted because nobody allowed to recognize himself like an Assyrian, because you have right to be only Kurdish or Arab, no other nation.
Where?
In Iraq. I didn't have a right to recognize myself like an Assyrian. If I'm living in Iraq, I have to be Arabs or Kurdish, no other nationality. If I called myself Assyrian, they were like putting me in jail. And if I called myself I belong to Turkey, they will exile me. So many people, they exiled them because their papers or their ID, they were nationality from Iran. They exiled them to Iran at 1980, 1985.
And is this why you came to the United States?
No, I came to the United States after 2003, when the Saddam Hussein's regime destroyed, and we were living in Mosul, and the Iraqi state of Iraq, what's ISI, before ISIS, it was Iraqi state of Iraq. They start persecuting Christian another time from 2004 until 2014. when ISIS came. They were destroyed. Anyone they weren't allowed no Christian to get an authority or to work or to make a business or to anything. If he want to be in safe, he's supposed to pay tax or to go out of the country. And that's why I left Mosul in 2007, and I was living in Kurdistan. I was working in Kurdistan, but the life, it was hard in Kurdistan. And after that, turned back to Mosul to work, and I couldn't work because of Islam's people. They forced me to give them the tax or to be outside. I didn't give them the tax, and that's why I left the country, and I went to Turkey, and I registered to United Nations and came here. A refugee came here.
So was the tax higher for non-Muslims?
It's depending. The way they were decided, maybe you are working $100, you have to pay $10 to like a 10%.
So is it unfair, the system?
This is unfair because we were working all, and they didn't gather the tax from other people, only from Christian. It's like their rule said, if you want to be safe, you have to pay a tax or to convert it to Islam. If you don't want to pay the tax, you have to convert it to Islam. Or if you don't pay tax and you don't convert it to Islam, you will be killed. Or you have to go outside of our country.
Is this still ongoing?
Not now, not yet, because after 2017, they destroyed ISIS in Iraq. Now, they have some people, they have the same idea, but the government, no. They leaving our people to live and somehow in the peace. It's not peaceful 100%, but we are better than 10 years or better than 70 years ago.
Why is it important to recognize the genocide of the Christians during the Ottoman Empire?
We have to recognize the genocide at Ottoman Empire because we feel nobody speak about us until now, and we have the right to declare to other peoples we were in that countries, and we had a rights in some times. But after that, the Muslims or the Ottoman empires, they took all our rights, and they destroyed the human beings' rights, and nobody talked about it. They killed millions of people at that time, and until now nobody mentioned it. Only we are mentioning it, and the other countries they don't mention about the genocide. And they don't recognize it as a genocide. What we have a right to recognize it like a genocide against three big nations, which is Assyrian, Armenian, and Greece. And this is, I think, the simple right to have it.
And it is important to recognize the genocide, because if you don't, others will repeat it, and did repeat it. And Adolf Hitler noted the Armenian genocide to his generals when they said, "How will you get away with this Holocaust? The world will not allow it." He said, "Oh yes. Who today remembers the Armenians?" And that was 20 years after the Armenian genocide began. And to this day, the Turkish government makes it illegal to say that the genocide occurred. People are still saying it in Turkey. It's growing. The movement to recognize the genocide has grown. Until today, the Turkish government does not officially recognize the genocide that happened on their territory from 1915 all the way through 1922. But so many countries around the world are recognizing it, and it keeps growing. States, legislatures, countries, governments. It's recognized widely throughout the world. It's history. There's no denying it, except the Turkish government.
Do you think that more Christians were killed over the last 100 years than before?
Yes, from 100 years until now, we lose more than 1,000,000 to 250,000 people. Assyrian people, not Christian. If you gather Christians, will be more than 3 million, 4 million people from from Ottoman genocide until now. We lost more than 3 million people. From Christianity separate, we have a lot of Christian. They gave themselves because of their Christianity, but in 100 years it was most like the majority of people they killed there, because our Assyrian people they were persecuted in 1849 from Turkish and Kurdish in north of Iraq, south of Turkey. They were killed about 100,000 people at that time, and nobody mentioned about it. Nobody mentioned about it. But when it's happened, it was a majority of Christians killed in 1914 at Seyfo time. This was like a huge persecution and a huge genocide against the Christianity in the Middle East.
Thinking now the history, do you feel that there is a connection between the Greeks, the Armenians, and the Assyrians?
You know, my mother lived in this building as a schoolgirl, and she would go to school and people would always say, "What are you?" Like they would say to everyone. She'd say, "Armenian," and they say, "What's that?" And so she would say, "Well, it's like Greek." Everyone knew what Greek was, especially in this neighborhood. Greeks and Armenians were living together here in this part of New York City for decades. And so they understood then the Armenians were related to Greeks and Greeks were related to Armenians. I mean, we have a shared history.
So where do most Assyrians live in the United States?
In the United States, the most Assyrians live now in Chicago. We have almost over 100,000 people, and it's like something make interesting. Like Assyrian, Armenian, and Greek, they are living together. Whatever they are, even now in this country, in the United States, we can see even here we have Armenian, we have Greek, we have Assyrian in New York. And also in Detroit, in Chicago, in LA, California, we have a lot of like every communities from Assyrian they are neighbors with Greek and Armenian. And this I think because they were living together and they want to stay together forever.
Να στείλω μια ευχή, να είναι καλά όλος ο κόσμος, να μην έχουμε πολέμους, να μην σκοτώνουν, να μην γίνουν τόσο άγριοι άνθρωποι και σκοτώνουν μικροί μεγάλοι ο ένας τον άλλον, να έχουμε υγεία, ευτυχία, ειρήνη.
Do you want to make a wish? A wish?
Now I wish to everyone to live in peace, especially now in the Middle East. We need to pray for our people to be safe, and the war between Russia and Ukraine to get to the end, because it doesn't matter what happens now. It's not about nothing. It's only about authority, and we ask our God, our Almighty God, to end these situations and to be all countries in safe.
Thank you so much for watching Modern Odyssey on BronxNet and beyond. We hope that history lessons are being taught and freedom of religion is respected. We say never again to any atrocities, no matter where they come from. Until next time, γεια σας.